Hi, my name is Chris Walters. I'm the Grants Manager and Gallery Curator for the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes, and I'm going to talk about our online application system and how to use it. We use a company called Submittable, and you would go to earts.submittable.com and look for any of the applications that we have open. Right now I'm showing you an example of the 2023 Community Arts Grant application. So you would click on that, and it'll take you to a brief welcome message where you'll see a link back to the grant guidelines, which talk about all the eligibility and details of the grant program, and then a link back to our website, and as well as in my email address for any questions or concerns you have when you're working on your application. If you already have a Submittable account, you can go ahead and sign in, or if you don't have one, just create your own account. So I already have a Submittable account, so I'm going to sign in to my account, and I will show you what the application looks like. So now that I'm logged in, I'm going to see the application. You see all the application at once, which is really nice. It's going to start out by asking you applicant information about yourself. These are simple fields where you just type in the information. So your name, your address, things like that. Make sure you do pick the applicable county where you're operating in. The contact person and their information. This is the person that is going to receive all the communications for the grant program. Any kind of social media website presence, things like that, your EIN or your TIN. And then if you are a sponsored application, this is where you would put your name as the sponsored group or individual artist. Above is where you would put all the information about the actual applicant that is sponsoring you. And then if you're having any kind of letter of partnership or any other files that you attach, it's a simple program where you just click on this button, choose file, and then it'll open up your Finder or your window where you're going to choose which files you want to upload. And it'll say what kind of files you can upload and how many. And then the project and budget information, you'll put in your title. And then this is the narrative sections where it's going to have a different narrative that's going to match up to the criteria that are found in the guidelines. For instance, this is the artistic, cultural, and programmatic merit. There's going to be a word limit down here, and then this button you can make this box a little bigger, a little smaller, whatever you want. Although I do recommend typing outside of this in some kind of Word document or Google Docs program. And then there's going to be a prompt at the bottom that talks about what you should include in this section. And again, there's an option for choosing files, and so there's a series of questions that again relate to the criteria that are in the guidelines. And then something new this year is that there's no longer a required budget form that you need to submit. However, you still will need to talk about your grant request. So you would put in your total project cost here, and then your grant request here. A couple things to keep in mind. The total project cost needs to include your grant funding. And the total project cost cannot be less than your grant request. So for example, if the total project cost is going to be $10,000 and my grant request is $5,000, that's great. Or maybe my grant request is the same as my project cost, which is going to be $5,000. That's also great. But what you can't have is a project that is listed less than the grant request because it has to at least even out to each other. So make sure you're paying attention to that. And then this grant request description is also it's an amended version of what we had in the past, but this is where you're going to detail out that specific grant request. So the expense items and the dollar amounts, because again, there's no more budget form this year. So this is where you're going to put in that information and including information about if you have other costs that the grant isn't going to support, to put that information in as well. And then just another question or so. If you are doing video or audio responses instead of typing responses, you can upload those files here. And then just a few reporting numbers that we need to provide to the state, and make sure you please use exact round numbers. And then a terms and conditions at the bottom, and where you just click that when you're ready to submit. Now you'll see that this is an auto-saving application, but there is still a Save Draft button, and I recommend clicking that Save Draft button quite often. And then when you are ready to submit, you would hit the Submit button. Now the big thing to keep in mind is once you hit that Submit button, you should check your email to make sure you get a confirmation from Submittable that you have successfully submitted your application. If you do not receive that confirmation, then you should contact me and I can check, because chances are you didn't actually submit it for one reason or another. So it's really important that you get that confirmation email. And that is how you use the online application system. Thank you.